You think you can do hair? Then join us every Monday at 12 o'clock on the Afro Hair Science YouTube channel. Oh, what are you waiting for? Before you walk out the door. All right, what's happening? What's happening, good people? Y'all know who it is, right? Me. It's me, your homegirl, Ladosha Wright, aka Lolo. That's right. Um, and right over here, let me just put my little I always gotta get my finger. There it is. Y'all know the routine when we go live. I gotta get my finger just right there. I have my PNC, my partner in cosmetology, the one and only Cheryl Morrow, aka the Hair Oracle, a name affectionately given to her by none other than my ace homeboy, hair savant over in Kansas City, who, by the way, I am going to be doing the yeah, I'm gonna. Now he ain't from Louisiana. He from the KC. I think that means his team won the Super Bowl. Anywho, he's not in the chat, so he can't clear all this up. But wherever he at, I'm going to check him out. What's up, Eileen from South Carolina? I need to come to South Carolina too. So we just need to just go on around the United States and just go see everybody. That's great idea. I mean, ever since we've had this podcast, we like what's his name? Nate Dogg. We got O's. We got old school people in different area codes. That's right. We racking up some old school people, some wonderful family and different area codes, and we just may have to do that. But in the meantime, we are. By the way, let me just in the meantime, in between time, Cheryl and I will tell you, just in case you will be in our neck of the woods. We're going to be here this weekend. That's coming up. At the Bronner Brothers Hair Show. And their theme again this year is about homecoming. You see, it says home, sweet home. They're asking everybody, come on back to the Bronner Brothers Show where it all originally happened, where it went down. So we're going to be down there. We're going to be doing this in partnership with the Beauty Care Professionals of America. And if you are a licensed professional, a student of cosmetology and barbering, also a consumer, then this is America's premier organization to become a part of, because they're doing some wonderful things to really help us out by way of business and just overall understanding, the beauty industry professionally, and then of course for the consumer here. So of course my screen ain't letting me come back in here to take it off. Oh, there it is. All right. I love technology. I'm a better hairstylist than I am a computer operator. But anywho, hey, as we can see, the topic today is So You Think You Can Do Hair is going to be about the professional world of cosmetology from behind the scenes. And so I'm going to tell you right now, I never thought as a licensed cosmetologist, I'd have to do something called a podcast and, go live. And these are some of the topics, marketing. So these are some of the things that we'll be talking about. But just in case you are new to this particular platform here on the Afro Hair Science YouTube channel, Cheryl and I, we are professionals in the industry working in various capacities. And so this particular podcast is affectionately titled, So, get my mic here. You Think You Can Do Hair. So You Think You Can Do Hair is a podcast that was created in the genius minds of our intern, the one and only Miss Samaria Smith, who's probably off because today is President's Day. So the kids are probably not in school. They're like, we about to just be on TikTok and OD. Hey, ODing on TikTok. Them young folks love that TikTok. And so Samaria Smith is an intern in the Cleveland Heights, Warrensville Heights Cosmetology School program, and her instructor, Ms. Donna Pollard, is a wonderful instructor who encourages Samaria to really follow her passions and her dreams in cosmetology. So this actually was her ideal as we were looking to grow the channel. I couldn't come up with shit. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't know. Hairstylist, right? Y'all keep asking me this. And Cheryl, Cheryl, that's why she's called the Oracle. She said, why are you sitting over there thinking just because your last name Wright don't mean you know everything. Why don't you ask the youth? And I'm like,
Those babies.
hey, George, George, could you talk about the house again, George? So I don't know why adults, why we just don't utilize the youth. And maybe that's a wonderful way because the topic, Samaria gave us she gave us a boatload of topics to cover. So we're starting all of the series off with what she felt was really on the pulse of cosmetology students. And one of the things she wanted to know was what is really happening, in the real world of cosmetology when we leave these cosmetology schools. Now, also keep in mind that cosmetology students are not just people in high school. They're also adults. And cosmetology and barbering are also taught in prison, certain, not all, but some prison, or I'm sorry, rehabilitation facilities and so on and whatnot. So a career, you have your career centers in various communities. So this podcast is not specifically for teenagers and young adults, but also just, students in general who are in your barbering, your cosmetology, your aesthetics, and of course your nail disciplines. Then this is the podcast for you. Also, if you are teaching in those capacities, or maybe you might even own or aspiring to open up a cosmetology school, then this is going to be the podcast for you. So with that being said, Cheryl, the topic today is going to be about what to expect. And so last week we talked about the book. The students the chat was pretty active and they were like, the book don't match, that's what's wrong. Also, tardiness. They felt like when I leave school, will I be able to do what I want to do? And Cheryl kind of bust that up real quick. Customer service. I am the coldest. And Cheryl say, no, it's about with them. What's in it for me? I thought it was a radio station. WIFM. What's in it for me? Okay. And then of course she broke down marketing that I went back and watched the live myself so I could write those 5 points down, but you can go back and watch. That's episode number 2 as we discussed what to expect, when I enter into the real world of work. And today we're going to continue that because that was so layered. We could not get it all in. But sure, let's a wonderful way to bring in the topic of what to expect when I leave cosmetology and barbering schools and go out into the world of work. A lot of them are going to be adults like you and I. And why do adults like me? I'm just going to talk about myself. How come we don't never want to listen to the youth? Why would we adults just think we know every damn thing? Like, where do we cut it off? So that's a set part 2. So one, why do adults not listen and implore the minds of the future? And then we of course we don't make the application. Sometimes like I heard what he's, but I'm gonna do what I want to do. What is that all about with us adults and the younger and younger, not meaning age, but also in experience, of course.
Yeah. I think this is an industry, and I'm going to be specific to this industry, right? I think this industry is based on experience and then accumulative years. So I guess when they think that if you accumulated some years, and like my grandmother would say, practice does not make perfect. The right practice makes perfect. And so we assume just because you have some years going on that you have accumulated some kind of level of expertise. But we don't realize that just because you've practiced long, that does not mean that you are appropriate for any type of consultant or just a source of information. So
I've never heard that before. Do tell.
So right. Well, so what happens is that we think if a person does not have the practicing experience or the cumulative years, we think that they don't have anything to offer. And that's just not just cosmetology. That is just the westernized process of thinking. If you
But in
accumulate,
but in barbering and cosmetology, you have to admit, I mean, I've worked in some other capacities. It's really prevalent in our industry where you have people who have been in it for so long. Like I work with Stefano. What's up, Steph? Coco, scrappy Coco. And Stefano had this term called the New Jacks. I mean, we even have like we have names for these newbies. Look at that, newbies. I'm so guilty. Um, but we just really, I've
yeah.
never heard that just because you've been in it for so long. I mean, on the surface, I get it, but I think it's kind of implied that if you've been working for so long, that you do know something that newer people.
Well, it's not about what you know at
Oh,
that point. What it is that are you conducive and appropriate for telling someone how to do something? I think that is, or becoming an expert or a professional to the point where you have even thought about your own career long enough to even create do's and don'ts, to even create um, information that is compartmentalized to help someone else. You're assuming that just because someone's been doing something for 10 years, that they've been doing it right for 10 years and they are successful 10 years and that they have something to offer. And I will say that people of color are also wired to be elder based. There's a lot of people of color, they're elder based. And you get to the Western world and Western cultures, they actually disregard their elderly for youth. So sometimes it's backwards. But when we come to ideation, ideas, innovation, technology, to miss out on the wealth of what younger people, and of course we are also attaching youth to inexperience, and that is also not the case.
oh, you just always being funky cold Medina ish.
You know.
Go a little bit deeper into conducive and appropriate because one of the things that we hear now, I know we got some cosmetology instructors. You guys are not going to want to hear this, but I'm sure you do hear it. And that is, you guys suck. They don't, it's two, you got two type of complaints about people who teach barbering and cosmetology and aesthetics and the nail discipline. So your two, which I know instructors are like, no poop, Sherlock. Number one, they're too lax. Like, they're too busy. Like, yo, what's up? Come on in here, bro. Or hey, girlfriend. And then you have those that are just so strict. If they don't stay bored, we ain't talking about it. So when you talk about conducive and appropriate in those confines that students typically categorize their instructors, go into that a little bit more because I'm sure some instructors are watching this and
Mhm.
they're like, y'all better not y'all watch it. Nah, don't you watch it, not kilo low. Don't but let's go there. Let's talk about these instructors. And we're gonna get to the school honors. Don't worry, I'm coming to you guys. Just stick around. Stick around.
Yeah. Well, people are, we have, as the older ones, the practicing ones that have been practicing over 5 to 10 years. I think we assume that well, we don't really want to realize that everyone who goes to school wants to be successful.
Say
Okay.
that again.
They want to be successful.
Oh,
That's
I
their
thought you
first
said
goal.
okay.
Okay. Number two, they want money, and they think money is successful or what that success is. And so they don't see the instructor as that bracket. Why? Because beauty school is not sold, or instructors or instruction or there. See, here we go again. Linguistics are important. What do we call really important teachers?
Really important professors.
Instructor really doesn't hit the ear the same way. Okay, so
Oh, I
it just
never thought of it that way. All right. If you're watching, you're in the chat. What do you think about the term instructor compared to professor?
Right. Professor is a six, you know what I mean? It's a six-figure job. It's, you're dealing with very smart people,
Well, I quit. I'm going about to be a professor. I'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good day.
Well, that's why we created the term professor. And that is one of the reasons, because I know why words are very important. Words are very important. And so the student kind of knows that they are not trying to be an instructor when they leave.
What about the term teacher? Come to the teacher. Come, mister. Come to the teacher. Come to the teacher.
Yeah. But the word teacher is always, connected to them not getting paid enough, them picketing or struggling.
Really? Oh, I'm such a sucker. Okay.
And let me just say this. So when we connect and see, they remember, an instructor trains. An instructor does not teach. An instructor does not educate. They instruct you on do's and don'ts in a certain levels of mechanics, and that's it.
We're gonna have to get us an instructor in the chat, because I'm not an instructor, but some instructors might beg to differ. That I
Oh,
do.
absolutely. No, they will, of course, because they are an instructor. But when it comes down to when the rubber hits the road, people don't go to school to be instructors. And so they do not connect, because we don't really want to realize that all students, no matter young or old, and they're going back into the cosmetology field because they always wanted to be a cosmetologist, they're going for money and success.
All right. If you're watching this in the live or post the live, why are you becoming a barber, a cosmetologist, an esthetician, or a nail technician? What is your motivation? Why are you doing this? So let's see if Cheryl is telling the truth. Also, let us know what city, what state, what country you're going to be representing, baby. And now we're deep into the conversation. That's all about why old people don't listen to younger people, and with emphasis in our industry. And I'm thinking about myself. I'm looking to do something different, and I'm turning to my colleagues. And it's now that I think about that particular day, it was almost like, and I'm just telling the truth, I mean, it's what we do here. It's a podcast. It was like she wasn't even there. I'm just talking about myself. It just never occurred. You see what I did? I called Cheryl, the old hair oracle. Oh, mighty Isis. And she was like, girl, you got the youth. What you calling me for? Ask the youth. And I was like, so cute. But the one thing I like about myself, I can admit when I got some stank in my poopy doopy, you know what I'm saying? And that was clearly some funky stuff. And, and
right there.
I can even picture her. I can picture her sitting, and, we were all talking, let's do this and let's do that. And, so on and so forth. And she was just in her place as an intern would be, not in grown folk business,
Right.
Stay in your place, new Jack. This for the grown folk. You ain't got here yet. You ain't earned the place to come and sit and talk amongst the elders. Sit on back. You ain't amongst us. You ain't down with old PP.
You see all that? You see all that?
OPP means something different. Old people. And so she sat there, and I'm just taking myself back. And when I turned, after I hung up the phone, you can see y'all should have saw the look on my face. I was like, she was looking like, I'm waiting. I knew. She had that look on her face like, I knew this moment was going to come when the old people was going to need us. And so I turned to her, and she lit the whole room up. I mean, to watch the whole entire salon become engaged, because I thought I was the authority. I mean, after all, Cheryl, I'm a salon owner. Y'all see him out here. I'm a salon owner. Of course I tell motherfuckers what to do. I'm a salon owner. Of course I got a license up on. I'm a salon owner. Of course I got some equipment. Come on, I'm a salon. I'm a
Come on
salon
now, come
owner.
on
Of
now,
course
come
I
on.
pay my taxes. Y'all want to see I owe that? I owe that. I pay them taxes too. Y'all better pay them taxes this month. You know,
I'm sure.
I'm always owing them. Anywho, that's a whole nother topic. Um,
But you're
so
leading.
but you
Lead,
hear that a lot. I'm the salon
right.
owner. So, and so as we, talk about that whole conducive and appropriateness, I think, for me, that was a punch in the gut. I wasn't expecting for you to say that. I don't know how you do it, because I would have been in favor of just keep asking the adults. Talk
Mhm.
about that, because this is what happens
Well,
in the
well,
real.
well, well, well,
You
one of
so
the
you
things,
so you think you can do hair? You're gonna come. You're going to, even if you're in your own loft, you're going to have to come submit or surrender to the reality. You cannot do it alone. So
right?
this is very appropriate.
Absolutely.
Um,
Well, let me just say this, Ladosha, you are a leader in your city, in your state, and when you rise to the level of expertise and you become a purveyor of wisdom and truth and knowledge and things of that nature, one of the moments that come to great leaders is that they do not know everything. But if they don't, and when they don't, and the moment comes, they look around them and they inspire someone to rise to an occasion that they are ready for. And the moment you ask them and you ask the wonderful people around you, that is when leadership is at its best.
mm,
Because I may not know the answer, but I do know someone that do know.
that's true.
And so what you're saying is come over here and pour into us. But here's the thing, they still need you to bring it about and give it
Mm,
shape and give it form and function.
mm,
And then that's what great leaders do. And I think that older experienced people do not know how to give legs in life to the things that they want to do. They think that they have to be the purveyor of everything, and you don't.
now, in case you did not catch what Cheryl just said, let me break it down, because y'all know I'm a hip hop head. So I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna break it down hip hop style. In case y'all just didn't catch what I got my mic up so I could get my hip hop on. You gotta ask somebody that knows something about it. You
That's
know,
right.
and that is it's challenging. So as we help these students moving along into the topic of what
Mhm.
is the real world of work like once we leave that cosmetology school, that barbering training, that aesthetics, that nail technician, what is that going to be like? And we highlighted some wonderful topics. They said last week, oh, first of all, the book don't match. And so how that's going to help us out there in the real world of work. Also, I want to do what I want to do in the real world of work. And Cheryl said, let's see how's that working out for you. Again, it's all about me. I'm the weave slayer. I'm the master colorist. I am the greatest. And she said, no, it's about WIFM, WIFM. What's in it for me? And then, of course, she gave a wonderful some steps on exactly what marketing, and that was 5 little components, and you can watch that in episode 2. And now we're just talking about, why old people in the industry, why do we struggle with turning over things to younger people, asking for their advice, and then at the caveat is, of course, we have to listen. We can't just be up there like, oh, good idea. Let's write them up on the board. And sure, like, do it. And so moving along, let's take them into, I got 4 points because this is only for an hour. And that's what she said. Y'all talk too much. Don't be talking too long either. So this podcast is strictly for an hour. So let's hit 4 points. So I have business plan. I have mentorship. I have continuing education. And then, of course, we have what we did last week. And you got to stick around to hear what we did last week here in Ohio. So, in those three areas of what happens and when I leave that school, what role or purpose or whatever word you want to use, a verb, would a business plan help someone who just either want to open up their own business or, what they call the new word is solopreneurship? What role or is the purpose of a business plan? Because, or will they need it? I mean, some people like, what you talking about? I mean, I've just got a good idea. That part.
I don't like business plans. Just personally.
You gonna get it?
Okay. I rather you
Hold on, wait a minute. Could you say that again?
I said I personally
following the standard.
This is about say it again.
I personally do not like business plans.
What you talking about, Will?
Now, I like business models.
Think you so smart. What is that? Come on, y'all. I see y'all in the chat. Welcome. Come on in. Drop your questions in the chat. It's okay. We're having a wonderful time. Our third episode here.
Because I think business models inform, but they also teach behavior patterns. And because salon work, you need to make sure that you have the behavior patterns, the mannerisms, the speaking, the body mechanics. You need to be able to model yourself after someone. It's called a role model, which means that that model is animated, gives you clues about behavior modifications, social engineering, relationships, how to talk, what to do. A business plan is good on paper, fine, but it does not really talk to the heart and soul of a person who's going to be doing services. So I think business models, let's just say if I wanted to start a delivery service locally in my city, I would study the business model of Uber, how they stacked it, so I can create behaviors and know really what to do. If I wanted to start a beauty salon, a supply, I would not put my plan on paper. I would study the Sephora business model.
Wow. Well, there's a good book that I could recommend. To Cheryl's point, and it's written by Jim Collins, and it's called Good to Great. It's a wonderful read, and he kind of talks about that. He, just to make a long story short, he says success leaves clues. That's very interesting. But what you can do to help change the narrative about what's going to happen when you leave cosmetology, barbering, aesthetics, and nail care, you can do this right here to help change that narrative. Show them how to do it, Cheryl.
Pampa me on, pampa me on.
All right, doing some good old-fashioned salsa there. Yes, so go ahead and hit the thumbs up, button. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that little bell button so you'll know. Kilolo and the Hair Oracle is at it again. And please share the content if you know a school owner, instructor, student, or whatnot. Share the content with them. And so, sure, you said business plans is good in theory, but copying or modeling yourself after a business model is quite more effective given where we're at today in the world of work. So you also mentioned mentorship. That was the second point. So a little bit more of business modeling and mentorship, because now I'm going to admit I don't go to every single cosmetology school, but I do find it very interesting that when I do go to a cosmetology school and barbering schools, and I ask them, like, who do you look up to, or something of that nature, who inspires you, and 3/4 are like myself. I'm like, So I'm always shocked. And I'm sure they do. I don't know if it's ego; they just don't want to admit it. But and not that mentorship is about that. But when you admire somebody, that is a segue for sure into mentorship. So go a little bit more into business modeling and its connection to mentorship, finding a mentor, or
You know,
maybe being one.
right. And I want you guys to make sure that you guys really get this part. When you're talking about mentoring, you are doing two things. You are training your brain according to how they would do things, right? Until you get your own style, right? Then you are what we call the next level of mentorship is called shadowing, right? Because you are training your behavior patterns, your body and your movements, because success is also in the muscle memory, right? Muscle memory is what gets you up automatically. And people say this, oh, every day I just wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That means that the hours in what you have trained your brain and your body to wake up at 5 o'clock. So success is also shadowing, just being in the room. And one of the things that I did when I was in New York, I made sure that I just wanted to carry Rudy Townsend and James Harris's bags to their photo shoots and their fashion week and everything, because I wanted to get the muscle memory, how I was supposed to act, what I was supposed to do, the relationships, how was I supposed to talk to important people.
But if that ain't being no flunky, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
It's called no.
I ain't carrying Ladosha's bags. She
No,
better
no. It's
you
one
know
level.
that.
Right. But it's one level above flunky, and it's called groupie. Shut your mouth. Get the relationships. Get Ladosha's curling irons out. Shut your mouth, and by vicariously, you will find out. Right? Because one of the goals that I set out when I was in New York, I said I want to be so needed and so important. Now, some of you guys would think that I would rise in position. I never wanted to be the actual mentor. So what I did was I was such a good flunky. I was such a good groupie. I was such a good assistant that the moment I did, oh, excuse me, Mr. Harris, yes, I'm getting ready to move on and go to this other salon. I'm going to go do this and this and this. And he said, okay. And then he went, what am I going to do without you? Oh my God. And it dawned on him, and it dawned on all of them. And guess what they did? They wrote me a recommendation that took me into the history of Fashion Week and hair in New York.
Wow.
I was so
How's that for a flunky? Wow. Now I will admit, I'm a good Indian. I don't want to be a chief. Everybody like, no, I ain't the one. Okay. I remember Ted Gibson. I did. He would tell you, I hope you're watching this, and he will say, yes, she did. In the beginning of my career, this is Facebook had, was maybe midway through. Anywho, I reached out to Ted Gibson, and I told him, I could be his assistant. I wanted to pass the hairpins, and I just wanted to I would, wipe his shoes off. I wanted to be that assistant for that very, I don't think that was my modus operandi, but I knew that if I could just be in that space, Stefano, I just wanted to just, touch the hem of his pants or the top of his shears, because people do inspire you. And though everybody was like, I don't know why you want to do all that. So when I had the opportunity to go sit up under Stefano, baby, I ran my face. I was over there like, how is Stefano? And everybody's like, he ain't all that. Yes, he is all that. Maybe not to you, but I think anybody who knows Stefano and have worked with me, you can definitely see where Stefano definitely definitely influenced and impacted my career as a cosmetologist. He definitely helped me get to new levels. So I do think there is something to be said about being a flunky and a groupie and then, like you said, into mentorship.
Yeah, and mentorship, you got to shadow one of the greats, and you know, into what you get just by default. And sometimes at early on, you'll start doing things like them, but it is to exercise that part of your brain that allows you to say, now let me do, and then it naturally morphs into your own style. But but the beginning, it is so fabulous. I met so many people by humbling myself and being with the greats. I would not trade that experience for nothing.
Yeah, I would not. I wouldn't. I would never take back one day with Stefano. I would not. I just wouldn't. I know he would be like, "Shut up, Dosha," you know. But I could. I have like a gazillion Stefano teachable moments, and he wasn't known as a drill sergeant. Now, Greg Gilmore is probably gonna hate me for saying this, but I have to tell the story when Greg Gilmore came to work over with Stefano. Stefano, this guy was just like, first of all, he has a military background, so need I say more? But on Greg's first day, he hopped up out of there. He did not last one day. He was like, nah, this is not, this ain't for G Styles. I mean, big ups to Greg, but Greg wasn't ready for what Stefano had to offer. And Stefano, he truly, I don't want to say, because I was not in the military, so I can't, I don't know what happens there. But you can see the influence of the military in his style. And I absolutely loved it. And so we encourage you guys that the reality, when you come out of that salon in the real world of work, you're going to have to find a mentor. You're going to definitely have to do that. And like Cheryl said, I would have said a business plan, but she says, no, Ladosha, it's really the business model. But what about continuing education outside of what the various states requires from licensed professionals? Because that's something I think continuing education.
Continuing education could be reading, it could be traveling, it could be going to shows, it can be going and deciding what shows you're going to go to. It could be calling up and interviewing, starting a blog, because you're not always continuing education just by merely studying. It's also exposure, just what you're exposing your career to. I also read other magazines. I don't stay in my industry so much, and I try to juxtapose each industry and try to merge on what designers are doing, interior designers are doing. It's not just about continuing education. It's about exercising that noodle you got and just making it so much more, putting, exposure or continual exposure. And the reason why I'm using the exposure word versus continual education, because education can come from any source, right? But if you're putting your physical body in locations in creative endeavors, shall I say, in creative endeavors, a consistent creative direct energy, when cosmetology additional information does come, you know how to chew the meat, spit out the bones. That continuation.
Yeah, the continuing education, a lot of people also think of that as a financial investment. So talk about, because when you leave cosmetology school, a lot of times, barbers, you're like, I ain't got no money. I can't afford that. The equipment, you want the best shears, and you want the flat irons and the blow dryers, and, all of the accoutrements of working behind it, all the brushes, and, talk about the financial piece of that continuing education when you're on a budget. because we got to talk about it. I'm not, some people got it like that, but
Mhm.
some people don't. So we'll do both when you have it like that and when you don't.
Let me just ask you, and this is the mistake, in my opinion, that beauty school makes. Um, when beauty school changes their model, and this is the model that, if I was opening up a school, this is what I would do. Because no student, right? No student has a financial exposure, an economic, a capital exposure to how much money they made that week. Even though they don't put it in their pocket, they put it in the beauty school's pocket. They still do not know how much money they generated for that beauty school. And when you disconnect that student from the money making process, even though if they would go through the exercise and they get the tips, right? And they're so separate from the economic process and business process and the entrepreneur process and the ka-ching, right? They do not, when they graduate, they do not have a relationship. So when that, I don't, because their lack of money is connected to their lack of clients. They actually did have a clientele. It's at beauty school, right? And so
Oh, that's so. Are you suggesting? I mean, I'm sorry, school owners, but this is the only thing you can do there.
I'm not feeling sorry for school
Oh, come
owners.
on, let me feel it. Come on, let's
No, I ain't feeling
wait a
sorry
minute now, Cheryl.
for them.
Hold on now. Wait a minute now, Cheryl. Now, isn't the purpose of going to school? Because they say when you give them money, right, you take away the incentive to learn.
Okay, well, let's do this, because you know how my brain works.
Uh-oh. Come on, cosmetology students. Come on,
Okay,
barbers, nail
right.
tech, skin
Yeah,
estheticians.
yeah,
Here we
yeah, yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. Because I'm about to change your life. Get your ass onto the speaker. Well, what is the difference between that and paying a college student from a professor? Here it comes. What's the difference between calling a person who's doing hair on the floor than doing a summer internship? And then they say, oh, it's a paid internship.
Uh-oh.
You tell me, what is the difference?
Ooh, that's a mic. Now hold on. We have Kai. I hope I'm saying your name right. Key or Kai is in the chat. I think she gonna like what you're saying, sure. Hold on. She says, hey, ooh, she look good. Watch out there now, player. God
Yeah, well,
dang,
damn,
she
what
fine.
you doing,
Ooh,
Key?
where you from, Key? Okay. Key. That's a real Key Lolo. She just took my name. I'm sorry. I gotta give credit where credit is due. She says,
Okay, we love when our sisters get looking
and
good.
she said she been lurking and she been watching the playbacks. Oh, come on through. She just wanted to comment on this topic. She's an esthetician, and god dang nabbit, you look like one. And one of the biggest things she looked forward to
What?
was finding a mentor, but it came to a point where no one wanted to extend that olive branch, at least so far. So she just came to the realization to solo dolo with her own. Wow. I can't imagine. That is this real? I mean,
Well, well, well,
I,
well. Two, you also have to ask other professionals, do they know? And in her defense, mentors got to learn and know how to be mentors.
okay.
Because to be honest with you, you just reminded me, because I'm about to call my mentee and get in her ass for not calling me. Because see, when you're not calling me, I know something going on. So, so I'm the kind of mentor that will be on you. You know what I mean? Because once I sign up, you're going to do and what you say you wanted to do. But,
So what about in her instance where she said, no one really wanted to help her?
well, they probably couldn't. And you probably bypass some dumbass mentors. But you got and you maybe just ask for other professionals, do you guys know someone that would? Or
Okay.
go to spas that know, if you know someone that would. And believe me, when you ask that if they know someone that you would probably get more of a better and someone who will commit to you and taking you through the tough times and good times.
Yeah, you
But
got to you do have to vibe with your tribe. You got to go to where your people are. Like, they may not always be in the obvious places, but for sure you'd be
yes,
surprised to find someone who owns a aesthetics salon, I mean spa in a yoga studio. You might find them at a spoken word, cafe. So they're not
and
always
also get on social media, and also so
oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. My mentor, his name is Ivan Williams. What up, Ivan? I've been Ivanized. He runs from me because I'll be like, "Hey, Ivan," and we are in touch every 3 months, and he gives me assignments like no other. And he is like, Cheryl, did you read my book, Cybernetics? I'm like, he's always giving me these hard books to read, psycho-cybernetics. I'm like, what the French toast and bologna sandwich? So he's always, putting me up. Take the physical challenge. So mentors will do that. To you, Miss Kai, but I reached out to Ted Gibson, Greg Gilmore, Cheryl. I got my black booty on that, and I gangstered that dang on inbox. I was like, I wrote her a long, like 20-page sonnet. It was just really long, Kai, and you are gonna feel a little crazy and a little stupid, and you may be concerned that a person might think, are you stalking me? That may come up because I keep it on deck. Here it is, right here, Cheryl. Bam, that was in 2021. Greetings, Miss Morrow. See, here, this is how you do it, Miss Kai. You just be crazy out here. And, I was trying to get in touch with the father because I thought I could just call Dr. Morrow. That's right, always wrong. Take this college man up. What the hell wrong with you? And so I said, I know you have no clue of who I am, but I'm a serious fan of your father. So sometimes you do have to take that bold move, and some won't answer because they don't always handle their actual social media. Isn't that right, Cheryl? So some people have other people doing it, but you still have to reach out. So anything else on reaching out to find that mentor?
Well, I say the moment you go ask other people, now you may even go to all your spas in the hotels, go to the private ones, go to fitness, right? Because you're after something, and make sure that you define exactly what you want to know, because that they may not be other estheticians. So define what you want to know, define where you want to go, and make sure that if it's business, well, it may not be an esthetician, but the principles of business, the foundations, the fundamentals are still going to take you through your career.
Yeah. So you may not be able to find someone in your actual discipline to be your mentor. I have several. My best friend Sabrina, her husband Dennis Roberts. Like I would go to their house, and they would like pull out the boards and computers, and they really mentored me, and just kind of walked me through the whole process. So sometimes your mentors may not be, from within the disciplines of where we're at. But like Cheryl said, nonetheless, reach out because it's really important because your mentors can help you have an impact in your personal growth and development as well as your career. Because remember, guys, this particular podcast, this third episode, is all about what is the real world of work like when you get into the hair salon and the barbershop and the spa, and the nail place in your own little silos? Like, what's going to happen there? And we just pointed out business model versus business plan, mentorship. For sure, you're going to have to continue, that education as best as you see fit in various capacities. And then last but not least, if you can do some of the thing, another thing is, I think one of the things that's missing is our responsibility to be involved politically, because we do have to do our due diligence when it comes to having an impact on our industry, especially with such big pushes in various parts of the United States to deregulate or lower the standards of barbering and cosmetology, makeup, and nail aesthetics. That's a really big challenge. We have Senate Bill 354 that's taking place in Georgia, and so Cheryl and we are addressing that. That's one of the reasons that's a part of the reasons why we're going down to Atlanta, is to also show some support. But we just want to show you that last week on Wednesday, we're in Ohio, and this is State Representative Elliott Forehand. And I'm gonna see, did I keep a clip of that? I may not. I may have already taken it down. Oh, yeah, I did. But in the past, Elliott and I had a little clash, and come to find out, we had more in common than we had not. And we decided, you know what, let's do something about that. And Elliott suggested, to help the industry out, he would introduce a bill that Cheryl and I could come up with. And so we did this with the help of former Senator Shirley Smith. And so there you have it. But one of the things that I did learn in all of my interactions with advocating for the industry by way of politics is that what's missing is that we do need a voice by way of organizations, and we have to make financial contributions to these political platforms so that we can get our initiatives through. So as we wrap this up, Cheryl, can you talk about the importance of participating in or putting together or forming coalitions, and the role of, partnering with politicians so that we can help save our industry? We got about 5 minutes, so you can definitely go into that pretty good.
Well, one of the things that, I don't think we think about as practicing clinicians or cosmetologists or barber stylists is that we don't really discuss our interest, right? We don't understand that the network is for us to be able to discuss what is our interest, what is interest to us: healthcare, well-being, environmental healthcare, just environmental sciences in the salon. And we don't realize that there are groups, nonprofit and for-profit, that are there to align with our interest. We want better chairs in the industry, or what we want, water conditions, or join water conservation. But whatever that interest is, education or better, Ladosha and I decided to make sure that you had better education in terms of Afro science, not just the artistic aspect, not just the aesthetic portion, but we aligned with our interests. And what that interest is, we got together. And so, but it also makes us aware that we need to lobby so we can improve and conserve and preserve our industry for generations to come. And then you need those extra relationships. What are those extra relationships? The politicians, your local politicians, your state politicians, right? And it's all just good for the wonderful synergy. And it also keeps you involved. We always talk about continual education, but we don't talk about continual involvement. Just being and talking about what is going to interest your career. Make it more functional, make it more healthy, make it better. And so aligning with the political and the nonprofit and water and conservation and environmental organizations, social organizations, foster care or education or trade organizations it's so much, it's so full. And
Right.
that's when that extra reaching out across the aisle, so to speak, reaching out of cosmetology also, but also making sure that you network and form an organization and find them. They're,
Yeah.
they're there.
And also, when you are in school and you're learning, a lot of times you will find that your schools are involved in that political process. We know here in Ohio, you have the wonderful La Barberia Institute of Hair. That's founder Laura Clemente, who was recently inducted into the Barbers Hall of Fame. I think the second female, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even the first. Don't quote me on that, but you can visit her right here on Facebook and check her out. That's Laura Clemente. She founded the La Barberia Institute of Hair. And then, like I said, she was also inducted into the Barbers Hall of Fame. You also have Nancy Brown of the Brown Nevada Institute. Again, you have the BCPA, the Beauty Care Professionals of America. So these are organizations who are doing things to, become politically involved. We also have here in Ohio, we have the Ohio Association of Beauticians, which we're going to try to get Dr. Hosey on next month, which she did agree in the live last week that she would come on and talk about that a little bit more. And we can go more into discussions about why that's the reality. When you leave that cosmetology, barber, nail, aesthetic school, you will have to more than likely, become politically involved because your very job depends on it. And the more you run away from it or ignore it, you may by default be increasing the likelihood of compromising our place in the world of work. You guys call it entrepreneurialism, hustling, whatever you want to call it. If we're not there, then guess what? It doesn't happen. So we got one solid hour in. We're going to be back next week. That's Monday at 12 o'clock. And one of the things I'm looking at my notes here because I'm kind of like, oh, this is going to be a tough one. But it's to talk. Samaria Smith says, this is her list, by the way. We're still going through it. And she says, I need you guys to debunk the internet trending truth and myths. So because cosmetology and barbering and aesthetics and nail disciplines was late to the platform of social media, we got to cut through the chase. We were last. The autodidacts, they done beat our asses. So, whew. I was listening to this person. I forgot his name, Professor Wolf. And he was talking about the G7, and I forgot the other one. Is it not G7? And I forgot the other. It's the other chair. You have British and India and China. That is an acronym. It stands for buy something. BRICS. There we go. I knew Cheryl last year. She know every damn thing. So he was talking about the G7 and BRICS, okay? And so what he was saying was that BRICS is outperforming the G7. That's us. Y'all know who G7 is, okay? So they are outperforming us so bad, like it's almost like we can't even catch up, even though we keep hearing reports about how good the economy is. He was like, baby, every 10 years, 20 years, the United States is having this big financial collapse, and that's not good, while this BRICS is steady, like, So that is exactly what's happening here and the beauty industry when it comes to us being so far behind on these social media platforms. When you have these autodidacts, they're like the BRICS. They're way up here. And then you have cosmetologists and barbers and nail techs and estheticians. We're down here with the G7. And so Cheryl is going to help us leverage, see if we can kind of balance that out as we talk about how are we going to be able to do something about what's happening here on these internet, this AI. We have to talk about it. this is why we have to listen to the youth because my last name Wright, but surely I am not going to. I would have never even considered that. But the intern says we have to address it, and Cheryl is already into this stuff already. We talked a little bit about this. It's going to happen at the Bronner Brothers Hair Show. So please, if you have not got your ticket, join us. We're going to be there. We're going to go live, have a wonderful time. So Cheryl, we're going to talk about that.
Actually,
Go ahead.
Actually, that's AI.
What's AI?
The flyer.
Oh, the flyer is AI. Okay. See what I'm saying? I would have called those, what do you call those things? Photo stock, okay? But we're going to talk about the difference between photo stock, AI, again, because we're talking about how is this internet, influencing our industry. It's really, really, really important. So, Cheryl, you want to close us out with this topic of
You said beautifully.
I'm talking about coming out of this topic about what to expect when we leave beauty school.
Expect, and this is I think that this is one of the most important parts of learning in cosmetology school, barber college. Because the moment you come out, you are a salesperson. And you should consider yourself a salesperson. The smartest people in the world are people that can show you something, tell you something, give you something, and guess what? Convinces you to go in their pocket and give you money for it and want to pay you the value of your time to convince them that you know something and could show them how to make their lives better and then pay you for it. That's you're going to be your ultimate skill set. And that's going to separate the pros from the amateurs, the pros from the laymen. And they will stay with you forever. They will actually give you their children, their mothers, their aunts, their uncles. And that is your ultimate service. But if you don't respect the energy of sales, that's what you're ultimately are going to be doing. So hopefully you get some sales training. And so let me give you some tips, beauty school owners and instructors. Teach them sales. And
All
if you
right.
don't, bring in sales experts.
All right. So there you have it. We are concluding our third episode on So you think you can do hair. We hope we have given you some clear insight on what to expect once you leave the confines of your educational facilities. This is the real deal, holy field. All right. So you know what we say, we're always signing out right. We're talking about a whole lot of peace, a whole lot of love, and a whole lot of hair. But check it out. If you ain't got it, don't want a case stand it, hell, you plan on cutting it off because you're a barber, you're a cosmetologist. You know what I'm saying? I would say don't worry about that because you still got your nails and your skin. Why? Because all that's beautiful too. And so are you. And thank you so much for tuning in to So You Think You Can Do Hair. Deuces, my good people.